Hey everyone, we are back for another Mythic Legion's Soul Spiller review, taking a look at the first of the standard figures in this line and the first of the two MOTU tribute figures. We're taking a look today at COWARROS here, so this is our Battle Cat Cringer homage figure. You've got him here in standard Mythic Legends packaging, of course. You can see him there in the window. We've got a write-up for him on the side. We've got that standard backer card artwork on the back, and then his faction insignia on the other side. So let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. All right, guys, here he is out of the package, our COWARROS figure, the homage figure for Battle Cat in this wave of Mythic Legions. And, you know, if you were lucky enough to be at PowerCon last year, you might already have this guy because he was early release there. So he's been available in one way or another for what, 9 months, 10 months now? So he's one of the earliest ones that got out due to the early releases they were doing with this wave. But I'm happy to finally have this figure. He was my most anticipated of the single releases, not counting the troll. So we're going to jump right into him, see what he can do, take a look at articulation, see how he moves around, because it's pretty standard stuff. I don't think we're going to be too surprised here, but what I have noticed so far is that these figures move a lot better for me than the Advent of Decay figures. I've had no issues with stuck joints in general yet, so I'm pretty happy there. But let's dive right in. So we've got a head that can look up a little bit. It doesn't look up too far, and that's simply because of the sculpt. He hits the neck right away. The head goes down. You've got bobbles side to side, full rotation. Arms go out. They rotate. You've got a single jointed elbow, and then you've got rotation at the elbow, rotation at the forearm, rotation at the wrist, and then you've got hinges at the wrist. This is an older style body, so he does not have any kind of diaphragm or an ab crunch. He has a ball peg, so he goes forward, backward, and then he goes side to side, and then of course full rotation at the twist there. Legs go out, and then you can cut there at the thigh. They kick forward and they kick back. There, nothing gets in the way. And then you've got a rotating single jointed knee over here, and then you've got rocker and hinge and rotation down at the ankles. Now this guy is of course a cat man, and he does have one extra bit. So I've already got the tail in, and he has rotation at the tail. So you can kind of, it's a ball peg, so you can move it side to side, back and forth, and rotate that guy. So he does have a little bit of extra articulation. There are things that will change this figure up, and I'll talk about how they move him around and kind of change things a bit. But for the general figure right out of the package, he moves really well, and I have no problems with how he moves, stuck joints, none of that. He flows very, very nicely. Obviously, there is one big reason why I was really interested in this figure. It's the look, and then of course, to a lesser degree, but not much, the homage to Battle Cat. And it's pretty obvious. It's pretty well known at this point, I'd say, that I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan. I'm obviously a huge Mythic Legions fan. So I really dig these mashups and the way that the Horsemen incorporate what they already produce and make something new out of it. So all of the parts here are not new to me. I've already seen these things before. I do believe that at the time that people got their hands on this guy early, that this particular cat's head and the tail were new. I think. I could be slightly wrong there, but I don't recall ever seeing these until I got my hands on Balaam from Advent of Decay. And this is the same stuff here. It's the same parts. So it was new parts at the time that were added into this figure, which people just got a hold of early. So it's a really cool design. I mean, it's obviously kind of a standard guy. You've got a bare chest, bare arms with the tiger stripe pattern, which we'll see shortly doesn't necessarily mean he is a cat man until you add some of the other cat parts. And then we've got some armor that we've seen used quite a bit, the plate style armor done up in Battle Cat's kind of armor colors with some copper inlay. And you've got these, some of my favorite boots, the very kind of evil almost looking boots. They're very just kind of demon Dark Knight kind of look to them, and I really like them. I think they work really well for the legs on COWARROS here, but it's just all about the paint here for me. The color, this particular kind of emerald green works really well. You know, you've got the tail, which has the same color with those tiger stripes running through it, and it's got the bit of a fur texture to it as well. But all of the figure also has shading all over it, so he does have darker spots which accentuate the musculature on the body, and it just makes him look like something you wouldn't want to mess with. And then on top of that, we of course have the head sculpt, which again, I've already seen this head sculpt, but I was equally as impressed when I saw it on Balaam. He was one of my favorite figures from the Advent of Decay line, and I think it translates really well into this particular figure. The line work on the tiger stripes looks really good. The design on the top of the head is nice. The eyes are kind of piercing and focused and very much like stare into your soul almost. But I really like it. It's obvious to anybody that knows Masters of the Universe that this is clearly something related to Battle Cat, whether you're a Mythic Legions fan or not and know anything about the homages that they do, but it's really clear what they're going for with this one, and I think it's really cool. And on top of that, you do have kind of extra stuff, like I said, to beef him up, to make him seem more cat-like, and we'll talk about that when we get to accessories for the most part, but there is the one kind of quintessential piece, and that is the kind of collar that you have. So you can pop the head off and put this guy on, and I do think that the pauldrons are really necessary to make this work. He has kind of like a hunchback situation going on here, but you can pop that on and take that instead, and it makes him look entirely different. It gives him more of that fur appearance. Of course, it adds some bulk and some heft to him, and then it gives him a little bit of new detail because you've got the jewels and the kind of baubles all over it, but it continues to make him look bigger and beefier than your standard figure, while continuing the cat design, adding more fur texture, and then of course more of that fantastic orange line work. Now, as far as accessories goes, COWARROS has an interesting spread, and honestly, I thought that I might have had maybe an extra accessory or missing something, and then I kind of realized what was going on here. So we've beefed him up a bit more, so instead of just having the neck piece, that kind of collar that sits on him, I've put the pauldrons on, because the collar piece does have holes for the pauldrons, as does the back of the buck itself, so you don't have to use the collar to use the pauldrons. And these just match the rest of the armor. It's got that copper inlay, it's very clean, very nice, looks fantastic. So again, parts I've seen I don't know how many times at this point, but we do have some extra stuff. So we do have an extra head sculpt here, and this guy can be made into an entirely different character. So you can have him be like a tiger-striped orc if you so choose. If that's your cup of tea, you've got the option to do that. You just take the collar off, take the head off, and pop that guy on, and you've got a new orc in your ranks, which I think is great. Frankly, I should have ordered 2 of these, but here we are. We've got this pretty awesome, massive sword. I've seen this one a handful of times at this point. Not too many times, I don't think, but a couple. And we've got a nice kind of copper hilt with a very, very bright metallic blue blade. This guy can be held in either hand, and it's a really nice design. It's really cool, and the color scheme is pretty fantastic. I'm really happy with that. And then we've got 2 of these. So we've got 2 of the shields that match his armor. So it's a wood grain, but then it's got that copper color with some blue to match the sword. And at first I thought, well, somehow I got an extra one and maybe I'm missing something, because he doesn't seem to have any other weaponry. He just seems to have the 2 shields. And then I assume that what the situation here is that they're going to mimic a 2000X Battle Cat kind of theme, because he had 2 shields on him, basically. They sat on either side of the cat, and this would mimic that. You can put them both, because they've got the pegs on the back for the clips, or you can just have the clips on either arms, but he does have a hole on the back of his armor, which you can kind of get one of the shields to go in. It doesn't work that well with the pauldrons on, but you can peg one of these in that hole on the back of the collar piece, which is kind of cool. So it's another kind of throwback to a different type of Battle Cat, because this is clearly, an all-encompassing homage, because there's no other explanation for this, and he is supposed to come with 2 from what I've found, and that's my assumption, is that he's going for the 2000X version. If you want to have him dual-wielding shields along with that monster sword, you've got the option. So there was very little chance that I wasn't going to absolutely love this figure, and here we are. I say we have another winning figure from Mythic Legions. This guy is just incredibly unique, and I say that with the caveat that we're definitely getting towards a point where we have a tremendous overlap with figures that have a lot of the same parts, and while this figure does share everything, we've seen this particular configuration before, the look is incredibly unique. The paint job, the color scheme, the different options you have to kind of bulk him up and beef him up, or change him into just a tiger striped orc. How cool is that? There is a lot of fun stuff going on with this figure. He moves really well, he poses well, but it all comes back to the look. And of course the MOTU homage is a huge thing, but even if that wasn't the key to this figure, even if it was just a green and orange tiger dude, he would definitely still be a winner because that's just an awesome concept and it fits really well with some of the weirder stuff in this line, but also stands apart to make a more unique figure to throw in your collection. So this is definitely one to get a hold of, even if you don't really care for the MOTU homage going on. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legion Soul Spiller COWARROS figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.